Yeah. So our idea is basically to create like a community. But what we can do here, so we'll start via the term ecosystem
Okay.
because it is ecosystem because it includes everything. So
Yeah.
like most of the communities are only a community
Yeah.
or only a studio or only a website or something. By ecosystem, what I mean, it will be a community, but also a studio, but also a marketplace. So like combining everything, so you can get experience from everywhere, but just at one place.
Okay.
So that's why an ecosystem because it consists of everything.
So
So
before we start with ecosystem, let's start with the history of like how did ecosystem come into place.
sure,
Ecosystem के पहले क्या था और उसके पहले क्या था और
okay,
वो कैसे आया उसके बारे में बात करते
yeah.
हैं.
Also, there will be one exercise. What we'll be doing is we'll write the word ecosystem on this paper, and whatever thoughts we get, we'll just surround it with that like a mind map, and then we'll put it as the thumbnail of the video. Just like if you want, you can write. I'll
Yeah,
keep
no,
on
it's
talking.
fine, it's fine.
So then here's ecosystem, and beginning with the history such as during after completing my 12th, like before coming into design college, when I was applying to design colleges, I was researching a lot about what is design and what communities there are and stuff. So that time, I discovered that there are many communities, but they have a lacking in each of them.
Okay.
Such as like there are many communities on Instagram, but they only create content till Instagram and that's it.
Okay.
So that is only like giving you literal resources to use the applications, but there's nothing in learning aspect of it. I'll show some of it here also on Instagram, and most of them are making relatable content just to get followers and then just leaving it there. What I think our motive should be is to change how people think about it, because like if you see in, even I was talking to a girl from US, even she was trying to build a community. Her goal was to initiate or to change how people think about design systems. So that is like very big scale.
Yeah.
But speaking here, when you speak about design, people just think it's like a visual thing. So you make
Yeah.
anything visually better and that's design.
Yeah.
So we can see the gap which is there here and there.
Yeah.
So that gap is what we have to got to bridge. So
Right.
we got to change how people think about design. We need to show them results that if you make this design change, your sales are getting affected.
Right.
It's not just about how it visually looks or the poster made, there's a text up or there's a text down and all
Yeah.
of that
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So that is where the idea of a community came in place. But then when a community comes in place, credibility comes. That why would someone trust you being a student to learn from you? So then came in place the studio. So if you have a studio where you are working and you have some work and you have some real life experiences, then people know, no, this guy is doing something. And if you work with some famous company or something, they know that he is something real and you can trust him. So that's where the studio came in. And then I thought about that when the community is there, you can even give the people from the community uh, experience in the studio. So some of the best people or some of the people who are very interested, you can give them internships at the studio,
Right.
and that will give them real world experiences and it will help the whole ecosystem. So then our original idea was to get started with the app. So then before the community and the studio, we just thought that while researching everything, we also came across that there are many websites which give out resources. But we could not find any such app in specific which is only for design.
Right.
So like when Instagram started, it was for photographers and videographers, and now it's for everyone.
Yeah.
So like that, there is no app which is for designers. There are multiple apps which do the work. Like there's LinkedIn where you can get connected and get work. There's Instagram and Behance and Dribble where you can show work. There's Twitter when you can talk about design things and stuff. But there is no single app which does everything. Also, there is nothing where you can get news. So there are creators on Instagram who give out updates and news of redesigns, why, what. But there is no such app where you can just read through it or see through it and not having a filtered perspective of a specific person.
Right.
Just the original news.
Right.
And think of it at a big scale, it will also be that person who redesigns. He wants to put it on the app because he knows that if he puts it on the app, he's going to get famous. So taking the app to that scale was the original goal. But then there were problems. So we started researching. The problems that came up are if I have an app, if I even put in the money, if I take 6 months to 1 year to complete the app, who will use it?
Right.
We don't have an audience to use it. So then came the community. Let's build a community who is ready to use the app, and then they can do all the other part.
Right. Okay.
Even they can help in the research and stuff.
Got it.
So that's where the whole thing came from. And coming to the name, which was Pixel,
Hmm.
it is because every digital aspect of design or
Hmm.
every digital thing
Hmm.
starts from a pixel. So it's the building block of anything.
Yeah.
And we wanted our community to build the building block of the whole ecosystem.
Hmm.
So that is, and each person being a pixel of the whole ecosystem.
Got it.
So that's why the name Pixel came up.
Yeah.
But the issue with Pixel, upon talking to some people, is that it is too digital. So then again, we are going to that point where everything is visual.
Yeah.
But according to most of the people, design should also be on paper. So like most of the research, the mind mapping, everything is done on paper,
Hmm.
and the final output is also shown on the screen.
Yeah.
So the pixel is not doing justice to entire process of the design process.
Hmm.
So that's why we are thinking of changing the name and rebranding before we launch itself. Because once we launch, then we should not change the name because that will affect the recall a lot.
Yeah.
The people will just forget or just not know what is this new name.
Yeah.
So that's why change the name before we officially launch and complete the whole identity of the thing.
Yeah, so I just wanted, so the whole thing about not changing the name, that that idea or that specific s- uh, that specific principle
Principle.
came to us through this guy. His name was Parth. I forgot his
Yeah.
surname,
Yeah.
but he's a graduate from our college, from UIT. He's currently, I think he currently just taught an entire module for the SEM 3 students,
Experimental typography.
and he's been in campus for the past few weeks, but we only got to meet him last week for a couple hours. But so if you guys don't know what Jaan Pehchan is, Jaan Pehchan is a sort of club, a student-driven club. There is no official faculty involved. It's completely driven by the students and run by the students. And in one of their sessions, which happens on Tuesdays and Thursdays, Parth gave us a sort of presentation on his graduation project, which was this sort of chaotic, this entire, instead of a design identity, it was an entire design event, and it was called Mayhem. So, anyways, after that entire presentation, me and Rutva, like, we were just like, oh, we have to talk to this guy. So, unfortunately, we couldn't talk to him that day itself. We just had some small talk. But the day after that, there was a display going on in G35. So we found him there, and we still didn't talk to him because he was busy. But that same night, we found him in G8 after we were done with the wood workshop and everything. So we were there for like 1 hour, and then we just gave him the idea for Pixel and everything, all the visual identity that Rutva had made. And while we were giving that, he just started like searching things up. Like as soon as we were telling him things, we could tell that some ideas were just coming into his mind. So I think he opened up the MIT Media Lab.
Yeah. You could just see he was excited and he wanted us to do this.
Yeah, so we, as soon as we, like, the more we explained the idea, the more sort of he got excited for it. The more he's like, oh, I know exactly what's to be done here. So we just had a long conversation about that, and we talked about rebranding and how there's so many communities or Instagram pages or brands or whatever who they have the same name, but they don't change their identity. Sorry, they change their identity, but they don't change their name. So it's what Google does a little bit, whereas like on their homepage, if there's like an event, you'll just randomly see a really beautiful illustration about that, and they won't keep the name Google there, or maybe they do, but like their name is known by everyone. They don't have to push their name, but what they want to show is that they have a dynamic identity. They're not stuck to one thing, but they have to be stuck to something like their name. Otherwise, people will keep forgetting who they are. There has to be one recognizability factor, and I think names are the biggest one, because even in humans, the thing we people remember by our names, not well faces, but also names. When you can't remember someone's face, you remember their name. So
Also, we wanted to speak to Parth specifically because as you told about his graduation project, so that project is called Mayhem, and it is like in the event you were talking about, identity event. It is kind of similar to what we are doing. So he wanted to create a whole community around a design, wherein he had offline events on identity and stuff, and the whole thought process and branding of that thing was very cool. And that is also one reason why we wanted to talk to him in specific, because he has already done something like this not in like a real life project but a graduation project, but at least he's researched a lot for like 2-3 months.
Yeah.
So that will help us a lot, and that could even help us reduce the time of our research
Yeah.
by a lot.
So after talking about Pixel with him, I feel like at least for me, my brain just expanded. I'm like, Pixel is too like constricting for the things that we were talking about. You know, we were talking about two students like me and Budva going through our course, going through our life, 4 years being here, and we're sort of showing you guys what our life is like. You know, in talks like these, just sitting on a random Sunday in the afternoon after it's just rained, and we're just talking about what we've been doing. That's what we are doing right now, right? We're talking about what's been going on, and that created such a unique sort of visual, like an essence of a visual in my mind. It's like these two kids. No one is doing this by the way,
Yeah.
but there's these two kids sitting and talking about shit they're doing in college, and they're like, look, we're building this, and it might fail. We might forget about it completely. We might never see you guys again. You might never meet us, but we're building this, and you can join us in the journey also.
Good.
So when we were talking about that, it's like, oh no, Pixel is like way too constricting for that. We need something bigger. And one word that he used was ecosystem, like an ecosystem instead of a community or in place of a community, and that fits so much better with sort of the whole grand thing we're going to expand to. You know, you start small and then you keep expanding in all directions in concentric circles. So it's like you start from one like a 1 square meter area, and then you slowly move to 100 meters, and then so that area of influence keeps getting bigger, but it takes a long time and it's not exactly linear all the time.
There's this one thing I heard yesterday. It's similar to this. I don't remember the name, but we just put a photo in the video. So that guy just told that don't restrict yourself. So whatever ideas you have, just try them, and then let the doors close itself. So you know which door to go into.
Exactly.
Like keep the funnel as wide as possible,
Exactly.
and then deepen down to it. Like Facebook example, you can
Yeah.
just share that.
Yeah,
also.
yeah, yeah. So the thing that the first question I asked him, the only question I asked him was that, you know, when you think of something like a brand or an event or an identity or like a place like UID, you know, UID, where we go to UID, that's a result of the things that they have done to build UID, right?
Yeah.
A college is a result of the philosophy that they have, right? We want to teach people. So
Yeah.
that's how schools are built. The way hospitals are built is that we want to heal people.
Yeah.
Right. So what the question I asked him is that for something like Pixel, for something like a community or an ecosystem, how big can that funnel go from, oh, this is Pixel, this is what we do, this is where we came from. So how big is that funnel at the top? Like what can our philosophy be? Like, oh, we want to bring together designers, okay, but it can be even higher than that. It can be even wider than that. Like we want to bring humans together. Oh, like that's now too wide because everybody does that. Like that happens
Yeah.
everywhere in some ways.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out where to close off the funnel and where to start it from.
Yeah.
So that question I asked him, and he's like, the biggest. I don't think he gave a specific answer to it, but at least what I ended up taking away from it is that your design, your whatever philosophy that constricts down to your final product has to be one that you care about, that one that you want to do. You know, if I never wanted to build a community or have a place for people like me, then I wouldn't even be sitting here talking about this, right? Or agree to be a part of it. So I think the biggest thing in that funnel that you can start from is doing what you want, doing what your heart really wants to do, and then you take away all the pretentiousness, the philosophy from it. You make it digestible, you make it more objective. That way someone other than you can also understand it, because when it comes to something like a community, it's not just for yourself, you know. Your screen
Yeah.
recording.
No. So we'll just put it afterwards.
Acha, haan,
There. We'll just put the photos of everything.
ठीक है.
Good. Yeah. So yesterday, I guess, yeah. So these are some things I had written before. So there are some offerings and stuff which we can do. So like there were 4 pillars of value. You should help. There should be learning. There should be connection. There should be action. Then communities never sleep and are always ongoing. So even if we are sleeping at the night, our audience will be helping each other when we are sleeping.
Right.
When they are sleeping, our team will be helping each other.
Right.
So communities are always not only the builder. The builder is just initiating the process, and everyone is helping each other. So we need to keep it all like a cool and a calm environment there. There should not be like fights and stuff and all of that. That is one thing we need to keep in mind. And then there's also create culture. So right, you create a whole vibe or a culture wherein the mindset or the stuff they're going into, that automatically lets them think about design. Like if you are if you're in a certain vibe, you think about those things. If you go to a Honey Singh concert, you'll think about party. But if you go to a calmer concert, you'll be like you'll go into your thoughts. The whole vibe or the whole culture of how people work. Not necessarily that it should be a 9 to 5, right? Design can be done at any time, anywhere. So culture in that sense. Like there's MNCs have business culture, job culture nowadays. All of those things. It's a new concept in India, but at least abroad it's been going on for a long time. Work culture and stuff. Then other things are like what are other communities, successful communities doing? What can we get inspired from, and what are their mistakes which we should not repeat? And then everything else is community traits, or we should be welcoming, we should go deep into the problems, be honest and open. So this is also one thing Paul said, that whatever you all are doing, just tell it to them. If you're working on your project at college also, just give it or just show it. If someone can maybe get inspiration from that and do something. Just be honest, open about everyone. Also, everyone's opinion matters in a community. So if you have something to say, I have something to say, you should listen to everyone and just take whatever you want from that. So here are some things which I had noted down for the community at the beginning.
Right. So one thing he specifically mentioned was like keep your conversations or whatever, keep it honest and open. So when I came here and when I thought of how I could influence people through my design or through whatever I wanted to do, through whatever my medium is, the first thing I realized is that you have to be relatable, and that's the worst position you can be in if you're not someone who likes to bend a lot. If you're someone who's very who has a process set down and will continue doing that no matter what. So it's very difficult to be relatable to people that you don't know and that probably don't have the same cultural background as you. They come from different places, different friend groups, and they're a completely different identity. So more as I'm interacting with more and more people, I realize that it's actually not that difficult to influence people, because since we're all, even if we all have different backgrounds, different families, different friendships, there's one thing that's common from all of us, that most of us, 99.9% of us, are Indians. And we're mostly the same age group. So when you take these couple of things, we're all also humans. So all of that just attributes to one sort of one block of an identity. Like, okay, how do you influence 18 to 21-year-old humans, Hindus, not Hindus, sorry, Indians. And then you start to get like actual clear ideas on how you can do that. And one way to do that is just like what we call it is do bakchodi. That's the biggest, that's the easiest thing. Like that's the easiest way to win anyone's heart, especially if it's a dude here in this college. Just do the stupidest shit that comes to your mind, and that's when all these crazy ideas started coming to me, that we'll record an episode when both of us are hanging upside down from a tree or something. So that's how you catch the attention of these people, and this video probably won't be a very attention seeking one, but to an extent it will be, because for the first time someone in the campus, at least in this year, is recording a video that is for themselves and not for the college, like the whole F1 thing that we see, and is actually about the college and concerns the college and addresses the college.
Also, I feel that when anyone sees their campus in a video on YouTube, they probably just click on it and just see what it is.
Exactly.
At least once.
Even when we are talking about our lives, they know that their life is like basically the same. So when I say that, oh, we came from the wood workshop and we went to G8, they know exactly what's happening.
So those people can relate to us. Maybe the people watching this apart from our college, for the actual community, the ecosystem part, probably they might not relate to the G8 things which are talking about college, but that is there, and we might just put like a small reference image at the side of the video so that everyone knows.
Even that's not important at this stage, because when you get people from a certain community, it branches out from that. You know, like eventually even we'll stop talking mostly about the college and it'll get grander. So the thing is, after 10 months or so, when 90% of our college audience knows what this is, then we don't have to keep catering to them. We can just start being more universal.
Even that's like that, because right now we're just like a channel with 0 subscribers, 0 views, and you're just posting this out. probably the college will be the first place who watches this.
Yeah.
We'll even build our team from the college mostly,
Probably.
and then it caters to audience outside, and then probably we won't even use these terms and stuff. So that is mostly about how the idea came up. Now, what one thing Parth told us that we should rename this before launching because Pixel kind of seems like a cliche term right now.
Yeah.
Like we talked about it before, and there are like hundreds of YouTube channels also up on searching like Pixel Perfect and Pixel this and Pixel that and all of those things.
Yeah.
There's also Pixel One community, I guess, Triple IT Rally.
Yeah.
So all of those things, and that is like a very used name.
Yeah.
So one thing we had in mind is everyone is creating a USP, which is a unique selling point. We wanted to create a UUSP, which is a unique selling point. So that initially or at the start only differentiates us because everyone is doing a unique selling point. So now that is no more unique.
Yeah.
So then we should do a unique selling point, UUSP, so that we are at the start only differentiating from others.
Yeah.
And then we can even rename it right now because I guess Fartha from BuildSpace, I guess the founder of BuildSpace said this once that once you build your idea, the first idea is never your a final output.
Yeah.
So once you build your idea and what the idea becomes is most of the times completely different.
Very different.
So like,
yeah.
He started by teaching his cousin or someone about some game or Discord or something, and then now he's teaching the whole world about entrepreneurship and how to build their idea.
Yeah.
Like that's a huge difference, but the teaching part, the essence is still there.
Yeah. I feel like the most important thing to realize is that when whatever idea you have in your mind and what it ends up being, you can never expect it to be the same. So one thing about Pixel or whatever this we're building is that we have, like at least both of us, more than me, him, he has an idea of what this looks like because he has been wanting to build from the start and I sort of just joined it. So whatever visualization anyone might have who's watching this, anyone has their ideas. Like let's say even if it's for like a poster you want to make, or if you're a photographer or if you are an artist, a painter, you get an idea and you're like, oh yeah, aise dikhega. In the end it will look like this, and then you go to actually make it and it looks nothing like this. And that always happens with everything. It's because the things that are in your mind, your imagination is unlimited, but the real world is not.
Yeah.
So you can't expect everything that's there to be there on the canvas, which is why you have to sort of pick and choose. Not pick and choose, you have to start wide all the time, but in the end you have to sort of curate your vision in a way that you know what's important and you know only the important things are going on the canvas. So what this sort of exercise we're doing is just like a variation of brain throw. I don't know if anyone's heard of that, but brain throw, I think I coined it myself. But brain throw is basically when you take every single idea you have in your mind, no matter how common or bad or boring it is, and you put it down. If you want to just make a different section, but ideally you don't do that. You take every idea and you put it on the paper. And what that happens is that when the bad ideas get out of your mind, you don't think of them again. You're like another bad idea comes to your mind, I'm like, wait, that's already there. I don't know.
Yeah.
You can just skip that. So it's like clearing out the catalog of bad ideas, which is what we're doing.
Yeah, so basically what we are doing right now to be the thumbnail of the video is brain throw.
Yeah. And what you said about the UUSP, I feel like to a very good extent, we don't even have to try for having a very good UUSP because as far as I know, no one in this college has going to do something like this, is going to do something like this, or has done something like this, where it's any amount of students coming together, documenting, which is a big word that very important word that Parth used, documenting their life and building something out of it while simultaneously broadcasting it to the campus around them and the world around them. Like I don't think anyone has done that. If anyone has done that, then at least it clearly hasn't stuck through because we don't know about it. Right? The point is that everyone knows about it. So I feel like from that we can like sort of funnel down again and define the clear USP. So yeah, and another thing is that USPs, in my opinion, are always flexible. Like the start of anything is not the USP that it always ends up being. Like I think the USP of Facebook used to be that people from a college can now know each other and connect with each other, but eventually it broadened from the college to the entire world. And I feel like now social media is not even about connecting with people, it's about entertainment, which is two completely different things. So USPs change as the brand changes
Brand
and the
changes.
identity changes,
Yeah.
which is why visual identities are flexible. But if the thing is everything is flexible, but then it's just not recognizable anymore.
If everything is flexible, then the term brand recall doesn't make sense anymore. Then.
See, yeah, there's a reason that the first generation of Swift and the seventh generation of the Swift is called the same.
Yeah.
If the seventh generation of the Swift was called something else, then it's not a Swift.
Yeah. Even the Apple iPhone, every brand for that matter.
Everything changes wildly, but the name is still the same,
Yeah.
which is like, oh no, it's the same.
From that music player to the iPhone 14, 15,
Yeah.
it's still not Apple.
Yeah.
Just the products are changing.
Yeah.
It's like it is flexible, but the name or the main identity is same, so that brand recall is there.
Yeah.
Then I guess now we have to still think of a new name. So
Yeah.
that is what we'll be doing throughout this 1 2 hour conversation in the back of our minds. But till then, we'll start about how we have to execute this part and what informational or what content can we create and what are things we can do from the ecosystem point of view. Because documenting is from the point of view, like he said, our audience will be the college for start and then the whole world around us for the beginning. But the community, it will also be getting people from the college and then branching out from there. But we have to, while we start, think of also when we have people from outside, what things can we have or what things can we have so that people also feel interested.
Yeah.
Because most of the communities you see over a period of 1 year, half of them just die off.
Yeah.
So like they get to 5,000 people, but then after a year, no one is active anymore.
Yeah.
Most of the Discord servers are the same story. So that is something we don't want to do, and that's why we need to have some interesting parts and some stuff. Probably we'll even have like meetups and all of those stuff in the future. That's like too into the future.
Yeah. But so based on that only, one idea that came to my mind when I was talking to Parth only was, and I think he gave the idea, but I sort of branched it out in my mind, is talking about assignments. That's the easiest way to. So let's say that our end goal is to get a lot of outside people that are not even Indians. Well, we can't go far to aliens, but people who are not even Indians to the community.
Yeah.
So the way to do that is to sort of branch into design, because design is universal.
Yeah.
And you can't just jump to design. You have to sort of crawl your way through you sort of have to go from one branch to the next branch.
Yep.
Imagine a snake going from one tree to the other tree only through the branches. So the idea is that your first branch here is, well, our location. The next branch is the things that we talk about, right? It's a college. The things that we talk about, assignments.
Yeah, creativity, design, assignments.
So when you get to assignments, it's one thing that everyone struggles with, and it's like the story of also Jaan Pehchan. The reason Jaan Pehchan was made was because the people who made, when they were juniors, nobody was there to help them throughout it. You know, nobody was there to have a club. Nobody was there to interact with them in a sort of fun way, right? The only solution was to just like walk up to a senior and be like, "Hi, I want to talk to you," which most people can't do because it's very intimidating. So that's why they made Jaan Pehchan, which is like, for us now, it's a place where we can freely talk to anyone we want because they've made themselves.
They already
familiar.
created the space.
Like for us, it's not the seniors, it's Jaan Pehchan. That is the thing that gives us comfort. And I talked to Ketki about this, who's I think one of the founders. And I was like, I just told her, I'm so glad that Jaan Pehchan exists. And that's like, I think that's what fulfilled their purpose. That, you know, first years are glad that a place like this exists for them, especially VC students. So when we talk about assignments, we're sort of bringing together this entire wave of design students, and then we branch out from assignments. Okay, where like we might help them with assignments, we might share the pain of assignments.
There's also one more possibility once we talk about assignments, that's our college, but probably even other colleges from India or from outside have similar assignments, and even they connect in, and then even they are like, oh, this is so helpful. Or
So
it will also be that they have different assignments, but they share their assignments, we share our assignments, and then we learn from each other.
Exactly. So that's what I was going to see. There's a difference between assignments and learning. Assignment is only a medium. So when you come to assignments, most people look at it as a task, which is fine for the most part. I mean, it's not, but that's the way people connect with it. It's like, I don't know how to do this, help me with it. And then when you branch out from that, it's not like, oh, I don't know how to do this, help me with it. It's like, oh, teach me design. That's why assignments are so like constricted down. Like the first assignment we had in VRS was literally making lines, which is so abstract and so boring, and like that feels like a task. But when you branch out from that, it's like no, every design you ever see is made up of lines. Then you're like, oh no, the lines aren't, making the lines has no importance, but learning about the concept of why we're making lines is more important. So you go from the task part of the assignment to the learning part of the assignment, which is where we get in other colleges, other design colleges, and then from that we branch out to people who aren't even in design colleges but want to learn design. That's where you see the assignment part only deals with a certain age group of people, and then when we go to design, that deals with a little bit of the outside age group. But when you completely skip out the college part, now you have a complete age group of like 14 to 60. All of these people are in some ways designers or artists, and all of these people need help with curating their ideas, with getting exposure, with whatever, with just growing themselves as a person, right? So
Well,
that is that we need to sort of define that branch for ourselves, like where we'll start from and where we'll end up at.
When we speak about assignments, it will also be that instead of recording a whole thing, we can just do a live stream.
Yeah.
So what that will be is, suppose we are talking about design essentials, which is basic design. It's all about principles of design, essential of design, everything. So that includes dots, lines, shapes, and stuff. And we can just speak about it on a live stream, and then what outputs people have, we can just have a look here, and we can keep on replying to that. And if we have any questions, they answer those questions.
Exactly. That is such a cool idea. Like he's the one who came up with that, and he told me before. And like when I thought of, imagine us being in like some random classroom in G Block, like G24 or something, and we're sitting in the corner. We have a whole setup, 2 laptops, 2 cameras, Wi-Fi router, and like keyboards, and it's like our work, and we're just working on shit, and it's all being live streamed, and people from all around the campus are watching it, and they'll be like, and then we can just be like, yo, people come here, come meet us, and they're like, that's such a crazy thing, because anyone who's in campus can just come to meet us if they want, and like in fact we can have our entire team there, and then anyone who needs help can, and ideally we'd want juniors to come there, because those are the people we want to help when we become seniors. So yeah, I love the entire idea of a live stream being happening in
It will also be that maybe people from our college who are doing the assignment are sitting there at the live stream, but people from outside our college who are doing it with us can be on the chat.
Exactly, yeah. Every Saturday or every Friday, when some classrooms are open till 9 o'clock, we can just do that.
So I'll just show you. There's a community or academy, maybe you can say. We'll just put a screenshot of it or a video of it on the screen, which does podcast but in closed rooms. So you have 2 guests, they are recording a podcast with the people who are registered with them, the 15-20 people are actually sitting there and watching the podcast live, and then the same podcast gets posted on YouTube. So like what we were talking about, that people from outside can see it on the stream, and so something similar.
Right.
Okay, I'm not able to find it right now, but I'll just show it to you afterwards, and we'll put it on the video as well. So that is one thing even they were doing. So they were doing podcast in that format, but we could do assignments and stuff in that format.
Yeah, for sure.
So that is one thing. I guess now we have 2 things. Either we can move up with these ideas, wherein what are things we can do as for the ecosystem point of view, or second thing is, which I have here, which is what content can we create.
Okay.
So I feel we should first go to the content, because
Okay.
then we're able to build the audience, and then this comes.
Sure.
So if you look at this, this is something I already told you about, the Netflix thing. So what that is basically a series called Abstract Art of Design, which is a very cool Netflix series, but it's just 2 seasons and I guess a 16 episode, each episode being of 90 minutes. So that is like about 32 hours or something of content, and not everyone has the patience also. And typically this generation who skips a 10-second reel, there was a trend, only a 1-second reel got viral.
Yeah.
So like where a generation where 1-second reels get viral, the amount of people who watch a 2-hour video has gotten very less. So like comparatively, there are people who watch, but the audience is very less. So what we can do, that doesn't mean this should not exist, but what we can do to help them is, we can create short 60-second or 90-second videos, taking the learnings from that episode and putting it out here, simplifying it, or maybe giving the same learnings but in a shorter form.
So I want to talk about the sort of polar opposite of this, which is also sort of my philosophy of life. I hate it when people like summaries of things. I hate it when people are like, I don't want to read this book, just give me a summary. I
Okay.
hate that so much because
Yeah.
that's the worst way to get the information you want, which is important to you, because there's
True.
no way that I can summarize the information of this book in a way that's important for someone else.
Yeah.
However, there is an objective side to it where it's
Yeah.
like there are people who don't have the time to sit and read books, who don't have the time to sit and watch long series, who just want the essence of things and want to build from that place. And to each their own, I guess. For whoever that works, it works. And for those sort of people, there's things like shorts, YouTube shorts that exist. Series like these where it's
Yeah.
like, let me summarize this episode in 5 seconds or 5
50.
minutes,
Yeah.
whatever. So that's what I thought of. I've never seen this series that he's talking about, but I should watch it. And the way that you can summarize it is there's so many like creative ways to do that. It's in what's the word? Unlimited.
Unlimited.
There's unlimited ways of exploring the same idea to make sure that every single person who is our target audience understands it. So what we have to do for ourselves is watch the series in its entirety, and then realize what are the important parts, build a funnel out of it again, and then sort of construct that into a time frame, a medium. So it's like our biggest medium, like the top of the funnel for our medium is media, which is videos, audios, photos, whatever, anything that's visual. And then you go down to a time limit for that. Sorry, you go down to a platform for that. What is it? YouTube, Instagram,
YouTube.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Then you go down, then you're like, okay, what time frame? And then you go down to the mood of the video. Like, do we want it to be happy and cheerful? Do we want to be welcoming? Do we want it to be straight and to the point? So things like that. Again, there's a funnel for every single thing, and then if you know where everything is on the funnel, then the whole process becomes easier. Because even if you forget where you are, you can just look above you or below you, and you know where you're supposed to be.
So what that one point to that is, like, we can have an objective side of the video in here, but the people who actually think that no, this is something very crazy and I should watch it, like, because we are promoting even those designers who don't need promotion, but people in India don't know them. So like that series includes people who created the Air Jordan, which is like a crazy. People here are crazy about those shoes.
Right.
There's a whole company built on only selling Air Jordans.
Right.
So all of those things, and we could just show how that was created for the designers. So the designers know how legendary pieces were created.
Right.
And mostly people in India don't know about that.
Right.
So we are just promoting those series via a small thing. People who think that's important for me might watch the whole thing. People who don't think might just take that objective and leave. So then there are both kinds of people, but we are essentially promoting it and we are helping everyone.
Yeah.
So that is one series that is possible. What other ideas were there is like same thing but in typography. So like typography is a huge concept, and most of the people, even anyone beginning, faces a huge challenge with typography. They don't know what is kerning, they don't know what font to contrast with what font, what should be size, why are fonts, why are headings bigger, why are brackets smaller, and all of those things. So that is one thing. That is also a Netflix series, but what we are doing here is watching movies, seeing how they use font in movies, like movie typography, and then using it to create a poster.
Yeah.
And then showing it how we use typography from that movie to redesign that poster,
Yeah.
and how it is better from the thing, or how it is more functional.
Yeah.
So then we are teaching typography, but also from a movie point of view, decoding the movie's typography.
Yeah.
So then experienced people doing typography, and then we learning from it and making our own thing. So then people know about it.
So the thing about typography is, so I don't know if anyone knows the word semiotics. Semiotics is a symbol of, the study of signs and symbols. I think.
Okay.
So I think typography has way more to do with semiotics than the actual literal parts, like what word is it written or how is it shown or anything. I feel like typography has a lot more to do with feeling and essence of things. There's a reason why some fonts feel more fitting to something than the others. Like there was some experiment done where it's like two words, one is like bloop and the other is something kek, and people are asking which one feels like a circle, which one feels like a triangle. And it's like there's a whole psychology behind it, right? So we can start with, and like See, we have to differentiate ourselves from the way they're teaching typography in college, obviously.
Or anywhere else.
Because
also.
Jan Pehchan in some ways is teaching typography. The college modules are teaching typography. But what are two random people that are juniors? What do they think about typography? You know, that in that sense we can't be objective about things because that's what everyone is doing. We have to bring our perspective into it. So for me, the perspective is that typography, the all of the technicals of typography like kerning, tracking, size, hierarchy, impact, all of that is like the bottom of the funnel. So the thing about any funnel is that the top of the funnel is the most important part, but it's the thing that you have to forget about the fastest. Like it's the thing that you have
Yeah.
to subconsciously learn, not forget about, but subconsciously learn. And the things at the bottom are the ones that you have to constantly remember so much that they just become a part of your muscle memory, right? So
Also, to add to this only, the bottom of the funnel, like everyone says. So, there is a thing. So, like, many people think that learning Photoshop, Illustrator is design. But what that is the bottom of the funnel. So,
yeah,
building the whole poster, the ideation and everything is the top of the funnel.
Yeah.
And then creating it using any app is bottom of the funnel. Like, that is a must do for everyone.
Exactly.
Like, you should know, that is like the basicest thing you should know. And then you build upon that. So, like, that is the bottom of the funnel.
So another characteristic of the funnel is that the things that are at the bottom are most replaceable as compared to the things at the top.
Top,
So
yeah.
there's always an alternative. Like let's say the top of the funnel. I feel like even above making like having an idea of something, even above that it goes that you have a feeling that you want to express. So which is a very human thing. It's a very like primitive thing, right? That's the way. Like another form of posters is like sharing your emotions, right? So at the bottom of the funnel is like, oh, you open up Photoshop and you quickly make things. That always has an alternative. You don't have to do it in Photoshop. There's tons of other apps. You don't even have to do it on a laptop. You can do it on a piece of paper. You don't have to do it on a piece of paper. You can do it in the air and imagine it. That's also making a poster, right? So the things at the bottom of the funnel are replaceable. They're more, they have more counterparts. They have more alternatives, and they're always, they're less. They're only a medium. You know, most things at the bottom is like it's only the way to do it, but the things at the top are like why you do it. So it's like it goes from why to how. Sorry, yeah, it goes from why and then to how.
Okay,
So it's
yeah.
like a gradient of why to how. But yeah, typography is a good thing. It's a great thing to teach because I feel like so something like typography mostly concerns VC students, but another huge stigma that I want to sort of address and even break in this college is that whatever whatever specialization you're in, that's what you're supposed to do. Like, why VC students cannot do PD work, or like PD students don't care about VC stuff, or like interior students have nothing to do with
Game design or
yeah,
whatever.
whatever it is. Right. So that stigma needs to break because like I as a VC student, VC is the reason I'm doing VC is because I'm already good at it and I want to master it. But in reality, I want to like in my soul, I want to become a product designer because I just want to learn how to make things. I don't honestly care about the technicals of product design, but I just want to know how to make things. I want to get physical with things. you
For
know?
me, it's the reverse. So, like,
Yeah.
I want to get into PT because I love the process of research and stuff. But for an hobby or foreign stuff in my free time, I really love doing identities, posters, and all of those stuff.
Exactly.
So it's not necessary that what field you are from, you have to just do that in college.
Exactly.
And you do not restrict. So, like typography you're speaking about, even PD students need typography because
Exactly.
when there is a graphic on a product or there is a type on a product in the user manual or whatever, even that is typography to a certain extent.
Exactly. See, like I have never seen there's this like unspoken beef between not unspoken, it's very spoken beef between PD students and VC students because somehow each of them have an ego about each other, right? So the thing is that I feel like if you are a PD student, if you learn visual communication, there is no other PD student that can be better than you.
Yeah.
Like that's you just increasing your skill set. And same with VC students. Like imagine you're a VC student, like there is no other VC students who knows how to work with materials like you. So imagine you're a PD student, you can build a product out of alphabets, out of characters. And as a VC student, you can build a poster out of glass if you want. Like what I'm saying is you can expand the scope of your possibilities, of ideas, of outcomes, of things that are possible to a crazy extent if you just give up the stigma that oh no, I'm gonna do what I came to do. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like I might not be explaining the stigma very well, but there's a clear way to define it, and everyone knows what I'm talking about. So yeah.
So that is the first, like, if you all cannot see this, this is about 28, 28 ideas of content listed down, which we are supposed to create on YouTube or Instagram to grow the community, finally reaching to the website, the app, and all of these ideas which are listed down here. So the thinking is that deep that we want to continue this at least for 4 years. So I don't know where it gets, but that's our thought while beginning this.
Yeah.
So what next can be is decoding design. So like one thing here is, suppose we can see it from all angles, right? So we can have, like, we two are then we can have a third person from each specialization,
Yeah.
and then we can, like, they are supposed to have crazy design. Like maybe I guess Tony Stark's recent house, he's creating a new bungalow or something, or maybe someone else. But that was like a very crazy, like a full wavy design created from a very unique material. That got viral for a day or two in between. Then there is a new music video, Big Dogs from India, Hanuman Kind, which just overtook Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us. So that is also what we can decode. So like music videos that comes under VC, kind of.
Yeah.
And then there also has many other things like how he came up with the idea, why that idea,
Yeah. Yeah.
why not something else, only the, what is it called, Well of Death or something. Maut ka Kuaa.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but so all of those things, like
Yeah.
whatever is going trending or whatever is very unique.
Yeah.
So like even CMF by Nothing, which is a very good product design,
Yeah.
bringing the retro thing into the modernistic
Yeah.
thing and adding new functionality.
Yeah.
So just taking those products and speaking about it. Like once we pitched this idea to Parth, we took the example of a matchbox.
Yeah.
So asking questions are not asked. Like take the matchbox, sit here at any location, and just speak about the matchbox. Like why those graphics? Why is it that small only? Why not a centimeter bigger? Why is it not a triangle or a circle? Why is it cardboard and not paper or any other material? And just speak about the whole product. So from that, what happens is you yourself develop your thinking, but you also teach people about how much thinking just goes into making this thing.
Yeah.
And you also, especially talking about India in specific,
Yeah.
people don't really know the importance of design right now.
Yeah.
So that shows that normal people who are even buying the cigarette, that how much thinking has gone into that, and they will then start respecting the product also.
Yeah.
So that in a way develops the mindset of the entire audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then that is a very good thing. We can, all of these are just ideas. We'll rename it to something which is more unique or which is more conveying about the series, and then we can do it. This is just what I thought at the moment. It's just like the mind dump you were talking about.
Yeah. So yeah, I love the decoding design idea because again this doesn't have to be restricted to any specialization.
Specialization, yeah.
So 1 week we can be talking about a matchbox, the next week we can be talking about the interior of some guy's house.
Yeah.
We can talk about furniture, then we can talk about music videos, as you said. We can talk about a poster someone made. We can talk about a new car that got released or whatever. Like it can be very broad, and then whatever guest we have can have some relation with that can help us think about it more.
Yeah. Also,
So,
the guest might not be someone who is very famous on social media. You can just be a student who created that,
Yeah.
or maybe a student who has written a thesis or a research paper on that topic.
Yeah.
Because right now, I guess second year PhD students are doing a thesis on railway stations or something.
Probably.
So if you are doing something about like the Vande Bharat or the bullet train, we can just call them because
Yeah.
they have written a research paper and they have a month's research on that.
Exactly. And also we have to sort of time ourselves properly because right now the module that Sem 3 PD students have is
23 days, I guess.
23 days, something like that. So like if we find an opportunity like this where it's like, oh, we want to make a video about some industrial design revolution that's happening, or some industrial design revolution that has always existed, but now they're researching about it. Now is the time to approach these people and be like, yo, whatever research you have, dump it here so we can talk about it.
And that will even help them because even we'll research a bit about the topic and maybe they
Exactly.
find something through us which they have not
Yeah.
gone through or come through.
The point of bringing any guest is just to have a third person to have a new perspective. That's it.
Yeah. So then there is this thing wherein it's about design trends I had written, but that's very cliche. Like every creator in design is doing that, wherein top 10 graphic design trends and this and that. And I guess there is one YouTuber also, Elliot.
Elliot is a cool guy, huh?
Yeah, the Elliot, the cool guy, even he talked about it in his video that these are one of the most cringe videos people make or something
Yeah,
like that, and
yeah.
he had a whole half an hour video or something on that.
Yeah.
So that was like a cool video, but that is also what one thing we'll not do.
Yeah.
So even
So
that is written down here.
so we can do that. So the thing that Elliot did was that very creative and very humorous. He talked for the first 5-10 minutes about how
Yeah.
cringe these videos are and how
And
bad
then
it
he
is.
only.
And then for the rest 20 minutes he was talking about the trends himself. He's like, you know what, this is so bad that I'm going to do it myself. So we
Yeah.
can take it that direction also. It depends.
Yeah.
Personally, I hate the idea of trends, but I feel like trends are extremely important in just ways that don't concern
In the
most
real
people.
world,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like they I feel like trends are misrepresented and perceived also. Like some trends have no business existing, they're only for entertainment.
Social media.
But some trends are important because they bring about a whole
Change.
revolution. Like the Renaissance movement in the poorest words possible was a trend,
Yeah.
right? So just the word trend is what triggers people. We should just find a new way to describe that.
So what now? The next one was Meet XYZ.
Hmm.
So what that is under like Path himself also. He's a very good grad project and stuff, but others in the industry don't know about it. We
Yeah.
knew about it because Jaan Pehchan is a so basically Jaan Pehchan can be a thing in college, but we are doing something similar at a global level
Yeah.
for a very poorest statement.
Yeah.
But so like how they introduced us to Path, this is something when we are introducing designers. But like it should not be that we are only doing like Kanye West or his designer or whatever. It can be any small designer, any big designer we are talking about.
Yeah.
And then this is like a Meet XYZ reel or a YouTube video wherein we decode that guy. If it's not possible for him to come here to collaborate with us, we just introduce him via us only. So like speaking about him in a video,
Yeah.
and then you all can just check out his work on his website or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
So that is Meet XYZ.
Yeah. So before we move on to the next topic, another thing I'll just insert there that Parth talked about, where it's like you can do sort of a design week review thing where it's we guys will talk about whatever findings we have. So he at that point he segregated us into a PD student and a VC student. And it's like if you are specializing in that way, you can sort of be you can have your identity show that way. You can be like he can be the more functional form oriented guy and I can be the more visual aesthetic oriented guy. And then every week we can just talk about our findings. Like all the whatever fonts I discovered this week or what news is happening, and he can talk about more industrial things. And that was a very good idea at the moment, but I feel like that's limiting to an extent because again it's segregating us into VC and PD, the whole stigma that I'm trying to break. So instead of just participating in the stigma, we can just take the essence of the idea, which is sharing updates every week that happened around the world, sharing our findings more specifically. So we all have our own lives, right? So on Instagram, I might find like recently we've been for some reason there have been a lot of animated typography just showing up on our feeds, like on our feed specifically, and even the same exact posts are showing up on our feeds. So this is something we can share, and then we can like have a 15-minute segment talking about animated typography, motion graphics, all of that. So that's another idea where it's like just for 30 minutes every week we segment it into 3 parts and talk about 3 different things that we discovered that week.
Yeah. So even the stuff what Part told about reviewing design or that stuff, that's written somewhere in this thing.
Yeah.
So we'll find it.
Yeah.
But what next is this idea came up to me with the module they have introduction to AI.
Okay.
What that is, it is basically experimenting with AI.
Yeah.
So what that can be is, you suppose we teach people that how AI is helpful and it's not killing their jobs.
Yeah.
And we show them that it is actually helpful and you should not be feared of it or scared of it.
Yeah.
So what we can do is, suppose if we have an idea, we can show how AI can help them visualize the idea. So we live prompt it and then we show how what we had in mind is what came on paper.
Yeah.
Because we could not draw it, but we used AI to something like that.
Yeah.
So like something which we are not able to put on paper, but we have it in mind, and how AI can help us visualize that.
Yeah. So
like something of that sort.
AI is a very interesting conversation. Like one thing I'll bring up now is like everyone has heard people say that, oh, AI is going to take our jobs, AI is going to like replace designers and copywriters and all of that. So this on the Joe Rogan podcast, there was this episode with Naval Ravikant. I don't know if you know, but this one thing he said was that everyone is worried about AI taking their jobs, but no one is thinking about all the new jobs that are going to pop up after these jobs have been taken. The thing is, the job of a designer didn't exist like 200 years ago. The job of I'm not let me be even more clear. The job of being a TikTok influencer didn't exist until a decade ago, but
True.
now it does.
Yeah.
Right. And somewhere in the middle, someone else's job that used to exist doesn't exist anymore. Like in most cases, sewage cleaners don't exist. We have machines for that. Right. So this very interesting point he made is that everyone is scared, everyone is like worried about AI taking their jobs, but nobody is ready to think about all the new jobs that are going to pop up. I feel like what he said is that only the creative jobs in the end will flourish, and all the like coding, like
The bottom of the funnel.
the bottom of the funnel. The bottom of the funnel, see, the top of the funnel, the things that deal most with the top of the funnel will remain. The things at the bottom of the funnel will go. Right? Like the job of someone who cleans the road of your locality at 5 a.m. in the morning. Everyone knows the sound of the broom swashing. That might go away in 10 years. But all of these jobs with manual labor, all of these non-creative jobs, these labor jobs are going to go away, and all the creative jobs are going to pop up, right? So in 10 years time there might be a job of an AI manager or something like that. I don't know what that means, but
even in this situation, like you said, their jobs will go.
yeah,
But even they'll get new jobs. Probably they are the ones working the factories where the robots are getting built.
exactly. So there is a purpose for every revolution, every change that takes place. Is not necessarily always bad. And then we can talk about the bad sides of it.
Yeah.
Like in my opinion, it's like social media. Social media is not necessarily bad in essence,
yeah.
but the way you use it is what makes it bad for you. So the same with AI. It's like you should never completely rely on AI. You should understand its limitations. You should like this one thing I recently noticed on Instagram is that a made with AI label is popping up.
Yeah.
Where it's like, if you want, you can put the label yourself, but in some cases, Instagram will do it by itself.
Yeah.
Which, in my opinion, is extremely stupid. At least with the Instagram doing it automatically, is because obviously there can be misinterpretations and it can be wrongfully this thing, but that's not even the biggest problem. The biggest issue for me is the word "made" with AI.
Yeah.
Let's say that I'm using Photoshop and I use generative fill or generative remove to just like clear out the tiniest pixels on my this thing, and that's now burned into the metadata of the file. And when I put it on Instagram will detect it and be like, oh, it's made with AI. That is the utmost form of misdirection that can ever exist.
I feel what it could be is that AI integrated or AI
Exactly.
used or something like that.
Exactly, that's the thing. The word "made with AI"
Built
is
with
the
AI.
issue. Built, no,
not even built.
Just like so there can be a very good word that someone can come up with, but that's the
Yeah.
point. Like that
like
phrase.
a better phrase for used AI or AI used.
Yeah, and also there should be, and this, I don't know how real this is, but there's probably some bias when it comes to pushing content through the algorithm for Instagram, for posts that are tagged with AI and posts that are not tagged with AI.
Oh, yeah.
So for some reason now, in some way or form, posts that are tagged made with AI are going to be pushed a little further in some feeds because AI is booming right now. They want to obviously sell. They want to sell AI. They want to sell
Yeah.
AI services. So they're gonna push that. That shouldn't exist. That's just being like
Biased.
yeah. Social media is biased by default, but yeah, even in that it's like that.
So moving on to the next is design laws. I guess you already covered that in the live stream part, the EOD
Yeah.
and the POD.
Yeah.
After that, what we have is this is one idea which we thought before coming here, because I came to know that UID organizes Ahmedabad Design Week and there are lots of guests coming here, and this idea popped up to me then, which is one piece of idea for fellow designers. So what that is, we can probably, by the time they come here, we'll probably be at some level, and if we get those permission and stuff, each designer which is coming there, if not a whole podcast, we could have a 5-minute conversation with them about what are a very key things, not cliche things you talk about every reel. Some things that are core or very specific to you, where designers should think of that you can tell to fellow designers
Okay.
in a 90-second format.
Okay. So I just know I know how to do it. I
Huh.
know how to so last year seniors that are friends of mine, they were POCs for a bunch of the designers that came there. So when you're a POC for a guest that's coming there,
You are talking to them.
you're talking to them, you're
Yeah.
taking care of them completely, you're
Yeah.
driving around with them, anything they want a cup of chai, you have to go and bring it to them.
Yeah. What also
So-
what can happen is, if not, so what we can do is we can just ask them that to ask the guy if he's interested or not.
Yeah.
Because if he's interested, even they cannot say no.
Yeah. So there's two ways to do it. One
Yeah.
is that be in contact with the person of contact. So if one of my friends is a POC, I'll just be in contact with the POC to ask him, or be the POC himself, which is even a stronger place to be.
Or you just are in contact with the person itself.
Yeah. So we like there's multiple ways of doing that. We'll have to get into the creatives committee and then sort of build our way to be like, oh, just make us POCs. But we can't tell them that, oh, we want to do this.
Yeah,
'Cause,
and
then they won't make us
one more
POCs.
thing what can happen is, even if we ask the POC to convey the idea to the person,
Yeah.
might not be that he does it on the same day. But
Yeah.
if he likes the idea, he will come back at some point of time.
Definitely. So yeah, I'm thinking just like very like interview style, reporter style, where it's like we have a phone in one hand and camera in the other hand. You're sitting in the car, or he's having chai sutta at the tapri at Brahmani. उसको बोल रहे देख 5 things about design please.
He's like, 1, 2. That is a cool thing. And if he agrees in the podcast, it's the best thing that can happen.
Definitely.
Second thing comes in.
But
is-
that will be a very fun watch for people. Like
Yeah.
just a 5-minute like chaotic talk with the
like,
guest.
what happens is there are people surrounding us,
Yeah.
securing this bunch of people coming, and we are interviewing.
Yeah.
That's like a crazy thing. Then there's one thing which I came up across from the social media only. I guess the design something. The page is called something. We'll put a screenshot again. But what they do is guess the font or logo. So like you just get a bunch of people here. Oh wait, a better idea. What I showed to Path that day. Nounish. So there's a page on Insta called Nounish. What their idea is basically is they call 3 designers or 3 artists. For example, let's take animator, illustrator, and a graphic designer. All 3 of them are sitting here. They have a time limit of 5 hours. They have resources what they want, and then they are given a noun. That's a nounish, and they have to build something in 5 hours based in their field of expertise on the noun.
Yeah.
So that is something we can do here because that is very interactive, and maybe afterwards we even get people from other colleges.
Definitely.
So what can happen is we get 3 people, we give them a design brief,
Yeah.
and then they have to make it in 6 hours.
Yeah. And we can even start with collaborating with Jaan Pehchan because Jaan Pehchan has an audience
Yeah.
and Jaan Pehchan does activities.
And
like
we can
these.
get like probably second, third year people because they know how to use those apps.
Yeah.
If you have to create those kind of things.
Yeah, that's very possible. So even that account, I've seen them do a bunch of games. One of them is like both of them are given an iPad and the same canvas. They're put on blindfolds and they're sitting facing away from each other. No, sorry, they're not put blindfolds, but they can't hear or see each other.
Uh-huh.
And basically, the idea is both of them have the same canvas and they start drawing, and there's no communication between them, but they see what's been drawing and then they just like sort of follow
Add
that,
to it.
add to it, and they sort of make one composition in one canvas without saying anything to each other or seeing each other.
Yeah. That is a nice one.
Yeah.
Then there is a redesign thing. So this is an idea that inspired. So one thing which everyone is saying. Recently when Neeraj Shah came to our campus, even on Instagram, even my story which you already reposted and stuff,
Yeah.
everyone is saying that inspiration is everywhere.
Yeah.
That's 3 words everyone is saying.
Yeah.
So why am I saying this? Because all of these ideas are inspired from someone or from somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe while traveling I see something and I'm like, why not we do this? Or
Yeah.
maybe on social media I came to something and we modified it.
Yeah.
So this is one idea which I came across via 10K designers.
Okay.
This is a very famous, I guess, UI UX or interaction design community. So what they did is they took Shark Tank startups and on a live stream with a guy, they just took their website and they had given their students, because they are a cohort, they gave their students a design brief of the same website and they were reviewing those websites live. What we can do adding to it is we take a website or a design live, we sit for it on a live stream and we redesign the whole website live.
Yeah.
So then we are just showing them how a website is redesigned essentially.
Yeah.
So we just redesign it on a live stream,
Yeah.
live read. Or if it's a too long thing, we just make it a 20-30 minute video.
Yeah.
But that's something everyone is doing. So
Yeah.
a live stream would be better because they can see the whole raw thinking of us.
So there's a very wide scope there where it's like when we are seniors, we can do the same redesign thing for our juniors.
Yep.
So we can just like invite a junior as a guest, have them show their designs, and in 20-30 minutes redesign it or sort of give them feedback
Yeah.
on it and be like, this is how you could have made it.
This is also something Anik Jain is doing right now. It's called Feedback Fridays. So he asks his followers to send their logos and then he's reviewing and redesigning those logos.
Yeah, so yeah.
So what we can do is we can do it on a bigger scale, not just a logo but the whole branding or the whole identity. If it's a very huge project, just do a part of it as an example. If it's a website or something, maybe just do the whole website part of it on a live stream. Take startups for websites maybe, not like famous companies because they have the budget to do it. Take upcoming stuff or maybe a studio or something. So it even helps them and then they have a trust or a owing that no, these are guys and even they'll support us then in the future. That is one thing. If you want to add anything or we'll just move on to next.
We can move on.
Then there is one which is behind the scenes of design. So this will be a challenging part, but wherein suppose like we'll take a famous company like Swiggy suppose. Just going to Swiggy for a day and just seeing how their design team works and documenting the whole process of how design teams or how real world projects are made or how they are altered. So, because many people fear, like suppose even when you're getting internships, if you're not in a design college, but you don't have the opportunity to get a placement cell who gives you internships and stuff, you have to do everything on your own. Many people fear that if I am doing it on my own, how will I be able to fit in or how will I work in that? I don't know how companies work. My process is this, that process is different. What if I don't fit in? So people think a lot about that. So this essentially will show how design teams work. Because a place where design is upcoming, this is not very known.
Definitely. I feel like, so this came to my mind when I was talking to Parth only. So when he made the whole thing for Meham and he was giving the presentation on it to us at Jaan Pehchan, I felt like most of the people, the things that came in their mind is like, how did you do that? You know, like if he showed a very creative post, like how did you make that? Like that's the most common question people have when they see my work. It's like how did you do that? Effect?
Even I have heard 2-3 people asking me
that. How what font is that? How did you how is the biggest thing? And for me, like what Parth said was like that's the most interesting part of the design process, where it's like when he sees like the rough sketches, all the all the behind the scenes of his students doing that. That's what excites him. The final part is like just
the outcome.
That's just the outcome.
Like that's the bottom of the funnel.
Okay? Yeah. What's the most interesting thing to know is like how it was done. So even when we see projects like these in college, when we see displays like in the foyer of G Block, there's like a bunch of displays on the left side or on the right side.
Right side, yeah. One of them is created by our senior.
Yeah. So clay models, like these ships
of
wood,
yeah.
And like these forms of wood. The biggest question is how? How did you make that? So if we could touch on that, if we could actually show how it was made.
I just had a conversation yesterday night itself. A guy called Vishal, he's a senior. He just came. That's the guy who created the ship. Right. He was just showing my roommate. He's interested in ships a lot. He created a paper ship. He was just showing him how the foundations are created and everything. So that was like something we were talking about. Yeah. And again, how was the question that came in? Yeah. So how is the question that like we already know what the audience wants, just like how, and then we just give it to them. Yeah. So the biggest thing is the documentation. So I guess the next 4 things are what we already covered, which is the nounish. Yeah. The observation, inspiration is everywhere. Yeah. Motion graphics we told, and the abstract thing. Yeah. Next is podcast, which we are already doing. Yeah. And that is something we already discussed about, but I guess we'll just give a brief about it for the audience, for the people. So what we are thinking of essentially doing is having these podcasts like this, which will probably be a Sunday, wherein we are just telling you what we ourselves are doing, maybe with the project, maybe with our college or assignments or whatever. Then there's a podcast which can be with a guest or a group of people, which is for the Matchbox thing which we talked about, like decoding about the project, about how a specific design is made. So we'll funnel down to, of course, some. We cannot do all 5-10 podcasts. The third thing which could possibly be is the guest thing. When we call a guest, so for inspiration, if you see Nikhil Kamath, who is founder of Zero Da, co-founder, I guess, and his podcast with Ranveer Kapoor or Bill Gates or anyone else, the way he does those podcasts, even in the Ranveer Kapoor podcast, one thing Ranveer told is, I don't want to speak about Bollywood because that's what all interviews do.
Yeah.
And Nikhil was also on those lines only.
Yeah.
So that is something which is very good. So like bringing out, not talking about what they are essentially doing, but still bringing out that and all of those things. Like speaking about their life and their life learnings in those forms. Because speaking about what they're doing is what something everyone is doing and everyone can do. So then again the UUSP part comes in, and how can we be different
Right.
and provide more?
Right.
So that is just a brief about the podcast. Even the redesign we did,
Yeah.
YouTube channel also we talked about.
Yeah.
Life of a design student is what we are doing right now.
Yeah.
This is one interesting video we can do. Going to design school versus not going to design school.
Okay.
So then we can have a fourth year or maybe a first year also, wherein we have a freelancer who is doing it on his own, or maybe we can have 2-3 people. So like a freelancer, a person who is learning, and a person who is working. 3 people who are not from design school, and then 3 people who are from design school.
Yeah.
And then just have a video about real life experience, maybe like a Bhuvan Bam video.
Yeah.
So like they are acting, and then there's a whole set created
Yeah.
in the college itself,
Yeah.
and not just a podcast.
Yeah.
So like that kind of video can be interesting because lots of people don't go to college and go to. Both kind of audience will see this, and even who wants to get into college but doesn't have the facilities and all of those things,
Yeah.
even they will watch it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
I love that idea. Yeah.
That is something we can do.
I feel like if I make that video, I would have like that. This kind of video is something I wish that existed when I wasn't in design college. When I was doing it by myself, and when I was confused whether I should get a design, whether I should go to a design college or do a business degree.
Yeah.
So if this video existed back then I would have known exactly what to do. So yeah.
Then moving on is one thing which can be applicable to us at the moment. For our UID audience is how does it feel to be a fresher in design school?
Oh yeah.
That is something again 11-12 people will watch a lot, and us who are freshers will watch.
Yeah, that's great. I feel like because then we can actually get very like raw, unfiltered, like very like transparent about things. We can talk about the worst things about the college. We can talk about how bad the mess food is sometimes.
We can even have friends from other colleges add on to the video because we should keep it as a fresher in design school and not a fresher in UID.
I love that because this is not even about design. This is just about life.
Yeah.
That's great because we can talk about shit like ragging, shit like the wardens, the flu outbreak in Edstone.
Yeah, and then even how is a design college different than other colleges in terms of work and all of those
We
things.
can talk about professors, about the stupid
Yeah.
shit they do, about the good lab, the shit that happens.
Oh yeah, that was crazy.
That's great. I think we should definitely like touch on that more.
Next, I'll just skip one and we'll go to the next and we'll come back.
Yeah.
Next one is a very controversial question which even the biggest and the smallest people are not able to answer.
Yeah.
Fulfilling audience.
Yeah.
Like giving an answer which is fulfilling for the audience.
Yeah.
Which is design versus art.
Yeah.
If you notice at least for the PD induction which we had the closed room session in the auditorium,
Yeah.
sir, as soon as he entered, the first question he asked is what is design, what is art, what is design versus art.
Yeah.
So that is a very big question, and every single person had a different answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even
So,
the
yeah.
professionals who are working, even each one of those have a different answer for the same thing.
Exactly. So for our VC induction that happened in the same place, we had Vivek sir or Sambit sir ask the same question, and again everyone had a different answer. And when he answered, even I didn't feel satisfied with that.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
what I took away from that entire induction, like one of the biggest topics was design versus art, and I even asked him
Yeah.
the question, it's like, how do I differentiate in my own work what is design, what is art? Like,
Yep.
how do I become more objective? Because for me, it's very difficult to be a designer because I've always been an artist. I've
Yep.
always done things for myself. So how the hell do I instill this completely new philosophy of making design for other people, right?
Yep.
So, and he answered it in some ways, and like there's another professor, he's like, जहाँ से पैसा आता है वो डिज़ाइन है और जहाँ से मन भरता है वो आर्ट है. So it's like there's always different answers, and
Yeah.
this is a very like I feel like it's an endless topic to talk about, because in my opinion design
Yeah.
is a subset of art. Design is derived from art, but some people completely disagree with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a great, like, controversial things get attention, and controversial things need that attention, like from public, from people, you know. There's a reason why controversial things are difficult to hear, you know. Like, people who are core designers hate listening to things about art. They hate philosophy. But people who are core artists hate technical things. So the things that you hate listening to are the things that exactly what you need to hear.
There's also this the next thing which is kind of related to each and every person if you are empowering that person. So like if you remember I told you about the four types of people, the
Yeah.
four shapes.
Yeah.
So the second type of people who are verified people, how are they differentiating from the first type? So this is kind of related to that. It's about branding. So like identity and branding is a
Yeah.
huge topic.
Yeah.
Not only from a VC point of view wherein it's the company thing, but also from our point of view wherein each person in today's case, like he told, has a different identity.
Yeah.
Professional identity, or college identity, or LinkedIn identity, or social media identity.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we can just teach people how to build those identities or how to have those identities.
Yeah.
Like maybe first year students, like I have a LinkedIn, I have it built to a certain extent because I used to follow the Christo, the future is your person, and he had a whole series on that. But many people don't, and they don't have a LinkedIn on that.
Yeah.
So then that is something we can create about speaking about the whole branding process. So like starting from branding and then how each of them can have a identity of their own and how that will help them,
Right.
and that will even help us because those people will have a second. They'll be the second kind of members and they'll be differentiated from those people.
Right.
So then we should, that's like real life proof of how they are different from others.
Right.
So that is what can be one thing, and then for a second part, it could even be that design research or product design.
Yeah.
So like moving from VC to PD to interior to VSA. That is one thing if you want to add upon, or we can go.
We can go. Yeah.
Next is document your journey, again what we are doing right now.
Yeah. Exactly.
But after that is this one which I told you.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is something which I already spoke to him about, and that is something a Shark Tank. Some person I forgot her name is doing from Shark Tank, and then
Yeah.
she herself came on Shark Tank
Yeah.
for doing that thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what happens is this is okay, yeah, Nisha Droch. I have written the name also. I'm pronouncing it wrong, but that's her name on Instagram.
Huh.
What it is she goes by just walking the resources or the services he uses from the street side. Maybe the pani puri wala, or maybe the stitching, the tailor, or the shoe stitcher, and all of those people.
Yeah.
She goes to them. She gives her work, and then she builds her whole banner of this side with the whole identity of that, with the phone number and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then she goes and while she takes the order back,
Yeah.
she sticks it on their thela
Yeah. Yeah.
or their cart.
Yeah.
So this is something which will be relatable to Indians at a lower level a lot because then we are influencing all kinds of people from the top 1% to the 80% which are earning less than 30K, which are even helping them. And then they notice that even the guy will notice that once I was just sitting here and now I have a whole vibrant big poster and more people are identifying me. If there are two people and then he's the one with the poster, there is one without.
Yeah.
It is affecting him. He'll know that. He won't know that's design, but he'll know that ek bacha, that one kid came to me, he did this for me, and now I have more people coming to me.
Exactly. So I've seen this exact same thing kind of being done in New York by
Okay.
this other guy. I'll
Yeah.
find his Instagram and I'll put it up here.
Yep.
So what he does is instead of taking like shops, because in New York there aren't like small shops like that, but in India you see like on a pole there's like 10 different
Posters, yeah, flyers.
where it's like PG available, things like that. So वैसे New York में भी बहुत है. Like, there's a lot in New York where it's like dog walkers or nurse, like nannies or like things like that. Like
Okay.
yeah. So what he does is that most of these don't have an identity. It's like just a phone number and a name and what they're doing. So he takes that, he builds a whole illustration on it, then he makes a poster out of it, and he goes to the same place and he puts it there.
Yeah.
He takes out the old one. So that's a very wholesome way to do it, because it's like he's actually helping these small people who need the money, who need this thing. It's like a silent. It's like being Batman.
Yeah.
It's like being a silent superhero without, and actually helping people in ways that will make a difference.
Yeah.
So we can do that in India in a lot more ways because it desperately needs it.
Yeah. Coming to the idea we skipped is that when once our funnel is topped by the UID, like we have people, 90% of the audience, as you said, listening to us. when we move out from UIT going to the global audience or for the Indian audience outside the college, this is one thing you can do is there could be a reel wherein it could be, are you anyone related to design? Drop in your ID in the comments and we'll feature some of the most creative people.
Okay.
So then what happens is those people, they discover us through this.
Yeah.
We can probably collaborate with the Sanskriti community which I told about.
Yeah,
he's, like,
yeah.
he's working since 10, 50 years.
Yeah.
They are doing the biggest Indian designathon and in January and stuff. And this could be something which will be helpful for the audience, even for us because we are getting discovered, they are getting discovered.
Definitely.
This kind of comes under the Meet XYZ wala part. So that is one thing. Like, this is something, some of the ideas I listed down.
Yeah, definitely. So the last idea that we just talked about, we can even do that in like before we go to the global level. We can do the same thing on a local level, where it's like once we become seniors, or we don't even have to be, but we can just ask our peers like, yo, if you do design, which you obviously do because you go to this college, share some of it and we'll feature it.
Yep.
So that's another way to engage with the audience here.
I guess so. Now let's move on to these ideas, wherein the content is now done. So like we have it all set out there. We know what all ideas I have in mind, and I know what he has in mind. So now we can funnel down from it and start creating from the next week. I guess when you come back.
Yeah.
And now let's move on to the name, the branding, and the actual physical ideas and not the content stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So before that, this is something I saw yesterday. So I was going through Nothing's page, and this is a crazy Instagram, not CMF, the original Nothing page. And what I figured out is, if you look at this, this is like the same colors we were using almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Red, blue, yellow, and dark gray, but they are combination with the geometric shapes. Again, what we were doing: circles, squares, semicircles, lines.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if you see, exactly what we were doing, but made it look so much more retro, abstract, but minimalistic also.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Something which we were trying to achieve, but I guess I went more on the funkier side.
Yeah.
But this is, if someone asks me what's your inspiration from the branding, it's literally this photo.
Yeah. Yeah.
This photo is my inspiration for the branding.
Yeah.
Because if you, even the visual, so the as we spoke about here, most of the people as design think about visuals only,
Yeah.
and the other half thinks about everything.
Yeah.
So if you showed this to a person and you ask one thing that comes to your mind, it will be design,
Definitely.
because their whole USP is design.
Definitely.
So this is one photo which inspired me a lot, and then we came up with this thing.
Yeah.
So they are like this thing, like, so our identity can be based on circles and primary shapes. Well, that's what even going on in design essentials right now. Shape compositions, and even the assignment you told me.
Yeah.
Make 3D shapes, get a form, and then create that.
Yeah.
So our whole, and that could be an exercise we give out to all students also.
Yeah.
That will help create forms, and then we ask them to, whenever you make a form, just put it on a story and tag us.
Definitely.
And maybe we combine all of those forms and create something
Yeah. We can.
as the
Yeah.
wallpaper for a phone or a PC or something.
Like that one.
This one.
नहीं उसके आगे.
This.
नहीं नीचे.
This.
Second row, second last.
Oh, this one.
हाँ.
Yeah. Like this.
Yeah.
So that is something which can happen. Because that will also connect to everyone.
Yeah.
Because that will be, maybe if it's like a crazy artwork, that's maybe put up in the cheap dog only.
Yeah. Easily, bro.
Easily. So that is what one thing we can do.
Yeah.
And the people can even get that. Maybe each shape has their name written or something like that. and stuff
Yeah.
In the wood workshop.
And we can even tell everyone to make a 3D form of that form with different materials, and then
And then we create a whole 3D thing and we resin it. There's a person on Twitter who started 100 days of no code.
Okay.
He built a whole website in 100 days using no coding.
Okay.
And then he's now got so viral on Twitter. He's now has a whole website named 100 days of no code. And then there are literally hundreds and 500s of people joining that and building with him for the 100 days. Just from that one series, he created a whole academy and a whole cohort.
Bro, he made his own subject.
He has 12,000 people who joined the journey. Like, he has everything. Even if you go down here, you can just get a no-code guide, short no-code guide. What is this? Who is it for? What did you learn? So this is something we can get inspired from on what we have to do for the branding.
Definitely.
Like overview, who's it for? What do we learn? How is it taught? So this is what our college should do
Yeah.
when they approach students.
Exactly.
How will you be taught? What is alumni? What is teachers? This is something all colleges should do.
Exactly.
All schools should do.
Exactly.
But yeah, so this is that thing. So this came up to me because what I was thinking is we'll start on the 1st of January because I was thinking that by then we'll have an audience, so then we can build our website and the app.
Definitely.
So either for the website or for the app. I guess for the app, I don't think no code is that reliable for an app yet, but for the website it's. So what we can do is on the 1st of Jan we start building the thing, and then by 100 days from the new year we have the website launch. So then people will be excited for those 100 days,
Nice.
and as soon as the jury is over, the website is launched.
Ooh.
100 days are exact, like 3 months.
Nice. Then we can just show it in our midsum jury.
Yeah, and same.
Oh right, ensign. 3 महीने हो जाएगा. हाँ.
Yeah, there'll be like in April it'll end in the April first week or
Yeah.
something, and then in May we have final jury.
Yeah. Nice.
So that is one thing I had. Then there is one, I guess, BuildSpace website. So I guess that also.
So another thing I'll just quickly add is that all of this that we'll be building till the midsum jury, till whatever juries come, we'll be showing that in the jury.
So what? This is their website, and
Yeah.
so till it loads, what is it basically? I'll show you the prototype. What it basically is, it's called Sage.
Okay.
So BuildSpace is now I don't know 100k, 200 people community, 200k people community all over the world. So what happens there is you can just they have a AI. They build an AI, found and be found, which is called Sage.
Okay.
What it does is suppose I am a person who's building. I just write designer from Gujarat interested in tech. If I put that from the whole 200k people database, it will find out 3 best people from Gujarat who are in design and interested in tech, and then it will show it to me. And then if I'm not satisfied, I can just start show more.
And then how do you interact with these people?
I just go here and I can just message them.
Wow.
And
That's
if
so
I
smart.
if I want to see more, I can just type show more like a normal person. I will show more.
Bro.
And how is it done?
Huh.
How they executed it is when you apply to BuildSpace, you have to fill a whole 3-page form, which asks you everything, which is like
Oh.
what are your past projects, what are you studying, what are you doing in college, what is the random ass shit you have done, when did you earn the first dollar, how much are you earning right now, what do you want to work on, what are your hobbies, what opportunities are you looking for. So and they ask it in such a way that you don't even know they're asking you that.
Okay.
And then even there, so like they were written, have you ever earned $1? And then usi ke niche they add a subtext, if you haven't earned, just write nothing, we don't care. So then they give you confidence that even if you have not earned, this is not a question for you then. So
Yeah.
they're just mentioning it there. So in
Yeah.
that way, their copywriting is the best. For now, what I have come across from a community point of view. So we can really get inspired from their copywriting.
For sure.
That is one thing. Next is member and designer of the month. Designer of the month, so you know what it is.
Yeah.
Everyone knows. Even I guess McDonald's does it,
Yeah.
employee of the month.
Yeah.
But then comes the biggest part, which is inspired by Sanskriti. Sanskriti is a community and they are doing a whole passport thing. So what they are essentially doing is they have a whole Republic of Design passport. So wait, let's just go to Sanskriti. If you just open their website, they have a whole passport thingy. So what that basically is, they created a whole Republic of Design. So
Yeah.
like there is this thing.
Yeah.
So if you go here, this.
Yeah.
So this is Republic of Designer, designer's passport, which helps even other people from outside. So if you're a person, you can just buy that, and whenever you go to their offline event, they give you a stamp, and
Yeah.
they stamp it on that paper. So
Yeah.
if you meet Atul Khol, suppose he's a guy who's getting famous on social media right now, they give you a stamp on that, and that guy specially signs it from his hand.
Right.
So then you can just show it to everyone. The word given to is flex.
Got it.
You can
Got it.
flex it to your other people and stuff, and you can just get a whole ass passport. And if you take the passport, you tap it here. I have your whole page come up here.
NFC.
A custom created page, not an Instagram page.
Oh, okay.
That's their own app which they are building,
Damn.
like the Apple stuff.
Ah.
So we will just read through them only of what they have done. So if you go here, tap and scan, designer profile, which I told you, then coin. So whenever you attend, whenever you complete their workshops, you win. If you attend an event, you play games, you get coins.
Okay.
which are accumulated here.
Yeah.
You can use those coins either to get to their event,
Hmm.
either to buy some stuff from their people, or if they have a workshop and you want to attend the workshop, it can be you need to have at least 1,000 coins only, then you can this.
Makes sense.
So you have those kind of levels you build, like a Clash of Clans maybe.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
You need to have this much grinding or this much hours of work to
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's event history tracking. So you whatever things you have attended, just from the passport they know. So you have a whole history of things, and then you just tap and you know what you learned in that event.
Got it. Got it.
There's a real-time updates that's to everything, basic thing, and you have a custom profile, so that's everywhere. There is community engagement also because you have a passport, he has a passport, you just hey, even you are this guy.
Oh,
crazy,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then integrate a passport with event platforms so that you can just track events, like I told earlier. So attend all events, be the first to know, tap connect, earn, redeem, save. These are all of those things. So this is like the same thing, but individual stamps from mentors.
So is this still a concept or have
Yeah,
you
yeah.
started?
They started it.
Okay.
They launched it, I guess, a month or two ago. But what we can do, so like passport is like a physical thing, you get a stamp and stuff. But on a larger scale, they might face a problem. Like if they have 200 people in their event, how will they make the guy sign everything?
Yeah.
They'll have to use a forged thing.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking, rather than this, why not a card?
Right. Okay.
Like a debit card or something which is easy to carry, also can be in your wallet also,
Ah,
and is also collectible.
right.
And also, yeah, from this we come upon the history, Indian history, which I was talking about.
Hmm.
So what that does is, now suppose you have an event, the event invite can be a whole scroll.
Oh,
That
yeah,
thing which you talk about. Then everything we create, we research, and the Indian patterns which are used in monuments and stuff, we use those patterns in our design.
Right.
And instead of the nothing that this thing,
Yeah.
we use those patterns.
Right.
So that will be like reason that is promoting Indian history, which everyone can get inspired, because India's history is like the most diverse and the most widest and stuff. So that is something we can do. Being inspired from that, even if you don't want to do a card, we can research and we can find such an object we used to be used before but isn't anymore. Like a passport cannot be used in design, but they thought of it.
Yeah.
So like something of that sort, or maybe even just create a 3D card, but with engravings of the passport, like
Yeah,
3D
yeah,
printer
yeah.
or laser cut
Yeah.
things.
Got it. Got it.
So something of that sort, and then that can have these or more features like tap to open the profile, and then the app stuff. So we can even have the card is a one-time fee, but then you can have subscriptions and all of those things for us to earn. We'll have merch for members and stuff, coins. Instead of coins, you could term it something more creative.
Yeah.
You could create a whole ecosystem again. So it's an ecosystem of everything wherein it's a whole city in itself. So like you come here, there's a whole city, there's a shop, there's a marketplace, there's a community, there's a companies. So even if we have a studio anytime, it'll be designed in that way. And if you have an event, that event will also be a whole city. You have a map, you are going in, there's a marketplace here, there's a this. So in those senses.
So how do you apply for this passport from
So
Sanskrit?
what you go, like I just click there,
Huh.
you just go down and there's a designer passport here. Get your passport. You just have to fill the whole form, your address and all of those things.
And how much does it cost?
3.5k.
1,500.
Yeah, right now it's 1500, but the MRP is 4500.
Okay.
So then they have just launched, so they have an offers and stuff going on.
Right. Nice.
But they ask everything and then they confirm, and then you can get it delivered, or you can go to their office in Ahmedabad, which is just here, close to us, and just get that.
Nice.
So that is something good.
So
Yeah, but
we
go
can
ahead.
participate in this by ourselves and build our community from that inside.
Yeah, also, yeah, the designer thing I was talking about,
Uh-huh.
the engineering guys who are doing this, I showed you relatable
Yeah,
content and stuff.
Yeah.
That guy, he was the first person who got this podcast, the founder of that community.
Right.
Because so he went to shoot a podcast with this community wala guy, and then that guy gave him the first ever passport live on the podcast for the first time.
Nice.
And then now it's like a crazy good promotion.
Nice.
So like that, and that is like very crazy stuff.
Makes sense. So we can even get people from Sanskriti to this.
Yeah, even we can collaborate with, because like I told you, there are two kinds of people who consider communities as competition for themselves,
Yeah.
and those who are teaching to learn. So I guess
Yeah.
Sanskriti is such a community who is ready to collaborate with everyone because they want to reach the maximum audience.
Exactly.
Their goal is also to empower the thinking and stuff.
Yeah.
So even their goal is the same. Yeah. So that is about it from what I have had till now. Still didn't think of a name. We have to get to a name before we post this stuff. We have to create YouTube, Insta, LinkedIn, and an email ID.
Yeah.
2 email IDs. One is for people to reach out and one is for us.
Business.
Yeah.
ठीक है, yeah, sounds good.
All of those stuff, and we'll have to think about how we can create collectibles. So I guess we have to start with all 3 of them together because we have to start with the marketplace first because we need funds for the community.
So that's we just start as small as possible, like selling our prints or
Yeah.
whatever.
So what that can be is that adding the history art part of it,
Yeah.
we get inspired from the history,
Yeah.
from the design culture sort of thing.
Yeah.
Create posters, T-shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
And the fresher users are coming, or maybe after that there's a vortex or something wherein all foundation people can put their stalls.
Yeah.
You just sell all of those stuff there. Or maybe when you just show it to your friends, they like you to sell it. No need of a stall also.
Yeah. But yeah, there's many opportunities to grow, like especially collaborating with.
Yeah, even
teams.
I guess the Champion people, we won't
Yeah.
give out amounts and stuff.
Yeah.
But they told us that how much ever they expected to make losses, but they make a huge profit.
Yeah.
And now they have excess funds. So like, you never know what people just come and buy so much of stuff.
Yeah. Exactly.
Just from like a 10 rupee thing, they earned in like so
Bro,
much.
they made a A5 book of 100 pages. That book is only 100 rupees. I thought it would be way more expensive than that. I looked at it and like, how much is like 100 rupees? I'm like, what? How are you selling it this cheap?
Exactly. So like all of those things are there. And there's a lot of products that can be created and stuff.
Yeah.
So that is, I guess, almost it from my side. It's also 45. If you want to
Yeah,
add upon, just add on the list.
Yeah, no, I think the more we try to come up with a name, we won't come up with anything. I think it might just randomly hit us on like some random day. and then
Okay,
we-
yeah. This reminds me of 2-3 names that I written yesterday.
Okay.
So what they were is, where is it? Here. So if you look at this, so this is Mayhem, the path wala thing.
Yeah.
I wrote just create culture elements of design.
Yeah.
But these are 3 names. So this is which came to me from ecosystem, a realm.
Okay.
So these cannot be names, but this can be a co-word of this, which can help us bring names. There's fusion. Like he told, you two are together, you come together. So it's fusion of 2 people.
Yeah.
So that's why fusion comes in.
Yeah, makes sense.
This two, fusion and that comes in. And then there's this one.
Huh.
This is beyond. So like think beyond this thing. Ask questions beyond that. So you think beyond everything, do beyond, like PDVC is a fight.
Yeah.
You go beyond that and you do both.
Yeah.
So everything is beyond.
Yeah.
Even in the funnel, you go beyond the funnel and bring a bigger funnel.
Exactly. Yeah. I love that. I love the idea of that. Maybe using the literal word beyond is not the best way
Yeah.
to present it. But I love the idea.
So-
I think that we should stick with that a little.
Even for what that idea is, it can be BEY only beyond, it
Yeah.
can be beyond.
Yeah.
But you have to think of what yond means.
Yeah.
Or it can even be bond,
Yeah.
beyond.
Yeah.
So we'll have to put either like a this,
Like a hyphen or
like a
slash.
chemistry mein hota hai, B.
हाँ.
So like B and on. So what this
Oh.
does is it's beyond also and it's a bond also.
So like a superscript, chota wala B and then on.
Yeah.
Okay, we can do that too. Yeah.
What can happen here, it has 3 meanings. So
Huh.
it's beyond,
Huh.
it's a bond,
Huh.
a community,
Huh.
and it's B yourself. So be on.
I like that.
So it's like 3 things in one. So we'll have to think, we can play around with this a lot.
That's great. I think that's the best one we have so far
Yeah.
with ecosystem. Yeah, we'll go forward with that.
So I guess we will conclude here.
Yeah.
And kudos to Parth again for all the ideas.
Definitely. I feel like if we didn't have the conversation with Parth, we wouldn't have the extent of conversation we had right
Yeah, we would have probably ended in 45 minutes or something.
now. Crazy.
And we should have recorded that also, the
Yeah.
whole video.
So I recorded like 20 minutes of it audio. We might put
We'll
it
put
out.
bloopers
Yeah, sure, definitely.
on a story.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
create like a ऐसे वाला After Effects में,
Yeah,
and then
sure.
put it out. Or we can even have him come up sometime when he's
Definitely, yeah.
around.
Definitely.
Maybe one such podcast with the third guest, him being
Probably.
when we have the identity wala thing.
Yeah.
So I guess books closed, laptops closed, and we'll conclude with this. Also, if anyone wants to join us or anyone has any ideas, hit us up. Either me, either him. We'll put our Instas in the bio,
Yeah.
or even the actual community ka page. Just text us, follow us, and yeah, I guess we are done with this. Thank you for the claps.
Oh भाई चल यार पेरी पेरी फ्राइज खाते हैं
So,